What do you think of that? Just giant straight clouds. I hope you can tell that this thing that we're looking at just now is not a cloud. I hope you can tell that this thing right now is clearly some kind of structure. This thing, it's not a chemtrail, it's not a cloud, it's something else. I'm grateful, very grateful to see this thing, and regardless of whatever it is, let's just continue watching it move. I think the best thing is to watch the movements, see how it maneuvers, whether or not there's any major changes. Just keep observing and see for yourself. It could just be a hologram for all I know. But given the context, given the time that I've been doing this, thinking about it, it could be anything. It could be anything. Let's not make any major assumptions. That's a pretty straight kind of line, you know. There's only a couple of things that could be. There's either a straight line, or it may prove itself to be somewhat curved, so it could be like curving that way, or it could be curving this way, or it could be a straight line. But it looks like it's got all these additional straight lines attached to it as well. You know, straight lines, curves. Could easily be the style of the design. Oh look, some kind of motif there. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed throughout my time doing this is how it's difficult to discern exactly what these things are, because we're only seeing it partially at best. A great deal of the stuff is actually hidden by our atmosphere, or perhaps even by some kind of advanced technology that we cannot comprehend, or at least if we do comprehend it, like Star Trek for instance, cloaked ships, that kind of thing. I mean, it's a possibility, right? If anything was going to happen at this point as a result of whatever is going on, I mean, anything could happen, I suppose, but if this was going to be the method of our destruction or great change, I think it probably would have happened by now, or maybe it's just about to. Maybe there will be an event where there will be no choice. It's either that they assist or something shit happens. I don't even know what I've drawn there. I just followed the lines. Oh look, I think it's moved. Just follow the lines, notice the changes. They seem to like teasing me a lot, showing me these different shapes and such. There you go. I don't think it's a bad thing, so to speak, but who knows? We won't know. But to me, it's a ship of some kind. I mean, you can see the lines. It's undeniable that it's some kind of structure. Could be associated with a passing celestial body. Oh, look at that. Where am I looking here? Look, see, so there's like an eye motif here. There is what looks like a broken ridge or something. Rock, maybe? Cliff type thing. It looks more like it's part of some kind of structure or architecture though. You can also see a lot of the patterns here and here. They look like ridges, perhaps indicating some kind of stonework or maybe metal plating. Of course, without full-on context, it's going to be difficult to really tell what this thing is, but it's pretty obvious at this point that there's something major going on in terms of this anomaly. Just keep on filming until it goes, if it goes. I mean, I have no idea. Suddenly all of these additional kind of like fanned out clouds, almost looking a little bit like ion drag, or like some kind of plasma drag, or maybe I mean, I always used to think at one point, one of the ideas I used to have was that if you consider the atmosphere as a kind of thin liquid, and that as things enter it, it will create distortion. And if you imagine being submerged in a swimming pool and somebody then jumps in, you'll see all of the bubbles and the disruption of the water underneath, and that would look like clouds to us. It just happens in slower motion. It's a different scale of time. It's happening a lot slower. Alternatively, it could be a giant ass planet. There's all these little round bits here, you see. But then I see these straight edge, these curves. It looks like the surface of a... Definitely looks like the surface of a structure there. Look at this. Now, I did an image recently after finding an almost spherical kind of ship. Here we go. This thing. Isn't it interesting how this area here looks like the lower right half of that sphere? Interesting, isn't it? I mean, I could just be seeing things, but but I've seen this before, this formation before. Let's have a look and see if I can... I did a comparison. I overlaid that sphere on a screenshot. Here we go. Fit to screen. It's not my rendering, by the way, of the sphere itself. That is somebody else's that I found on the internet. And just so happened that it seemed to look very similar to the spherical object that you can probably notice in these images. I played around with the colour and saturation and stuff so it would enhance it better, and in the bottom right of the image I superimposed the sphere over the original screenshot to illustrate what I mean. Now at the end of the day you could say this is all just speculation and blah blah blah. Yes, you're right, it probably is. But this isn't the first time that I've seen this. This is once again another time of seeing this. It's not the first time. I'm sure it may not be the last time, but I think I can say that this kind of fits in with my general theory that there is some kind of structure, body, that is flying nearby and making regular visitations. Or indeed it could fit in with some other hypotheses I've come up with, where there is a cyclectic pattern of objects that are literally just flying around in our atmosphere on a regular basis and making their rounds in a cyclectic pattern. I think that's true of some cloud formations. Not all. I think this particular one is a little bit different. It's relatively new by comparison to some of the other ones that I've observed over time. You know, this I'm kind of seeing that it has a greater chance of being some kind of structure rather than a random cloud formation or indeed a celestial body, although the celestial body would probably be the second option for me. I'm more inclined to think that this is some kind of partially disguised vessel or structure that makes regular visitations above us. You can think I'm crazy or whatever, I don't give a shit. But I would be remiss if I did not report these things through my channel. I would, you know, this is part of the project as well. It's not just about art or psychology or science. It's also about discovering, exploring ideas, challenging our previous perceptions of reality, and expanding our horizons, our perspectives, our consciousness. And that's all intermingled in this massive project that's been going for the last few years. But I can rub this out and draw it again and again and again. You'll see the same shapes. This is a slightly different methodology to your standard scientific practice, but I am, you know, translating it, you know, the standard scientific method. There are still elements of the scientific method involved. It's just a slightly different way of doing it. But you'll notice that although the formations have moved, they're still maintaining relative shape in relation to perspective. And you put all of this together, these observations, and it creates a very interesting possibility, some interesting potentialities that I do believe we need to really think about, and we need to start taking this stuff seriously. This isn't just something you can just laugh at or think I'm crazy about anymore. You know, I hope through all of my work that I have proven time and time again that some of my theories and concepts have validity of some description, or at least to the extent where it warrants greater examination, and where we really do need to question our models of the sky, of weather, of cloud formations, and how our atmosphere plays a part in that, both as something that gives these objects away through this kind of slow motion distortion, as if we were underwater and the clouds are slowly dispersing, where there's a greater scale of time at work here, or that indeed there are aspects of our atmosphere that do, by its very nature, kind of hide what's really there. Anyway, that's about it with this. I've shown some pictures, done some drawings. These are ideas. I don't want to make any hard or fast claims, but I do think we need to really think about, start looking at this stuff, taking it seriously, really examining these things properly with new, open eyes. You know, just as much as we do with our own earthbound geology and other aspects of our reality. The sky is an integral part of our reality, and it does help to give clues, gives away certain things that we really should be taking into account. So I'll leave you with that right now. I'm going to mute out and let the video continue. If there are any major sounds or noises that really ought to be played at the same time as the visual, I will turn the sound back on, or you can notice it now. Apparently that noise is that little plane. That plane was moving awfully fast considering some of the other planes I've seen, and that noise is actually very loud. I don't think that was a plane. I don't think this noise is from the plane. I believe it's from this object that's moving through our atmosphere right now. Now those are most likely chemtrails. We'll see if they disperse or if they decide to move along with the rest of the formation. That's how you can tell. They will move and maintain their perspective and relative positions as they rotate and move. And that's how you know they're fake. And if they're real chemtrails, they should be dispersing pretty quickly. So, relatively quickly, but you know, let's see how it goes. I actually think I don't know, I think they're fake. I don't think these are real chemtrails. But those two lines there, this one and this one, those two lines. I mean, those are good examples of what chemtrails look like, but I don't think they are, though. That's the thing. I think they're fake, and I actually think that they are part of this structure. I don't know how to explain it, but if they are chemtrails, they're taking their sweet time to disperse, and they do actually seem to be moving around together and maintaining their relative positions and distances. So that, to me, totally says, oh, we're fake. We're actually the outline, the bottom of a ship, or the bottom of a structure, or even maybe the roof, the ceiling of this simulation, or whatever. And then you've got this wow, this thing here coming through. Like that. Reminds me of what? Why am I thinking Machu Picchu? Something like that. This is so very rough. Don't move, guys. I can see you. It's pointless pretending. Here we go. It's like two little windows with a definite motif there. Now, I have seen that motif before several times, even in my dreams, in fact. It's like a tower, maybe? But yeah, these seem to be moving at relative distances, relative speed and time. There doesn't seem to be any dispersal. They're not spreading out as you would expect. They don't even look like they're dropping. So keep an eye on this stuff, notice it more. You'll find out. These things are not what we think they are. None of it is. Not even the chemtrails are real, really. Maybe some of them are, but I'm starting to wonder now. What's this? Look at these straight lines. Okay, I'm not drawing very straight here, but look at it. How is it that random water particles are creating such definitive formations, such definitive lines and curves? There's geometry here. Yeah? Look at this. There's geometry here. It's undeniable. So we've got to really think about this. None of this, none of the stuff that's going on up there is what we think it is. And it's time that people got on board with that, because there's so much fear and so much concern over some of the things that people are worrying about. Chemtrails, chemtrails, chemtrails. And it's like, no guys, I think they're trying to scare you. My stance is that although there may be chemtrailing going on, I don't think it's as widespread or as common as people like to believe. In fact, I actually think that the chemtrails themselves, even though they may be happening, I actually think that they are a cover-up for something even more crazy. And not necessarily a bad thing. But when people are thinking that these things are bad, how do you think that's going to affect our psyche? Put us in a stressful, emotional state where we end up manifesting things we don't really want, but because our focus is on the fear, on these elements, we end up perpetuating the illusion of control and fear. So what I'm trying to do is explain to you people, it's not what you think. And our reasons for being in fear are not necessarily necessary, or indeed real. Absolutely stunning footage today. Absolutely stunning. I just can't get over this. Now, if you want to know about, I mean, you could probably argue that these are, you know, what was it, Homo genitus cirrus? I'm not sure if they're man-made, but they do appear to be made, you know, artificial structures. Not necessarily made by man, but artificial nonetheless. Oh, maybe even organic. Who's to say what these things are made of? It could be living stone for all I know. But I'm drawing this over and over again to indicate that regardless of their movements, of their shapes, that they are actually there and they are maintained. They're in relative position to each other. They are moving relatively to each other in terms of perspective and distance and speed. And this is something we really need to think about. We need to start taking on board. I'm tired of having arguments with people about this. I mean, I don't even say anything, to be honest, because it's like everyone's so convinced by their own perspective. What's the point in arguing, right? You know, it's just, what is the point of arguing with somebody who's convinced by their perspective? But I also understand the necessity to help people release the fear and to look with new, excited, curious eyes. These things could be good. There could be something positive about this. We just need to change our perspective here. I've always looked at this from a relatively positive perspective. We can't assume to know what these things are or what their intentions are. All we can do is try to deduce what they're not and speculate, you know, well, what haven't they done? What are they doing? And maybe there is an element of deception there, and that's something we'll have to face when we come to that bridge. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave the camera to continue, and I will make a little video with this stuff in. Look at that bird. Is that a bird or a plane? I don't know, man. That's really fast. Anyway, I'm gonna let it continue, and we'll see how it develops.